Good evening, or afternoon, I should say, and welcome. My name is Dr. Hilary Bingle. It is hard to believe that 19 years ago, I had just arrived in this beautiful country of Grenada to attend my white coat ceremony. I am overjoyed to see my alma mater flourishing. Most of these buildings were not here when I was here. I loved the experiences that I had here. The rush of intense learning. I know it seems overwhelming, but you will find your groove. The joy of meeting people from all over the world, volunteering to help people who share this amazing island with us for 2 years of our lives. This school and country are the best place to learn medicine. They prepared me as an intern in medicine more than most of my third-year residents from US and other medical schools. Um, I believe my foundation from Grenada and my clinical years are what allowed me to be so successful on my USMLE, internal medicine, and hospice and palliative medicine board exams. You will never regret your decision to come here, and years from now, you will cherish the experiences you will have had. After I left Grenada, I spent time in inner city hospitals both in the United States and England, finishing my clinicals, and then I entered into an internal medicine residency position with Michigan State University in Kalamazoo, Michigan. I loved learning and practicing internal medicine, but had a passion for hospice and palliative medicine, which was slowly developing into a board specialty when I was first out. When this became possible, I worked to become board certified in hospice and palliative medicine while continuing to practice primary care. I practiced full-time palliative medicine up until last year and am now working as a Medicare contractor, reviewing cases from my home and volunteering at a free clinic in La Crosse, Wisconsin. Each step in my career has allowed me to grow and utilize my education to the fullest. I am not likely finished with this evolution, and I'm excited for the road ahead. That is the beauty of obtaining a medical education. It opens endless doors for you to walk through as your life evolves. I want to pass on a few pearls which will serve you well. Now, this first pearl, I understand may sound a little bit vulgar, but my father, who was a foxhole surgeon in the Vietnam War and a dermatologist after returning from the war, told me this was this when I started medical school, and I never forgot it. So are you ready? Okay. There are 4 things that have to leave the body: piss, poop, pus, and babies. Now you'll never forget that, I swear. You just remember the 3 P's and the B and you'll never forget it. But I guarantee you it will serve you well. After almost every time I admitted a patient with fever of unknown origin or shock of unknown etiology, I would ask myself that question, and it was always one of those 4 answers. Number 2, when you meet a patient for the first time, remember that they have never met you either. Don't look at the computer first, look at them first. Make a connection. Don't be afraid to hug them when you give them bad news, or hold their hand when they are scared or in pain. Patients may come with labels in their charts, but that is not them. It is their chart. Try to forget the labels. They may be wrong. It's easy to become cynical, harder to care every day, but trying to find something special in each patient can help. There will be times when you are exhausted and have seen one too many patients, but are called to see someone new. You might be ready to curl up in the fetal position and rock yourself to sleep, but you have to shake it off, just like Taylor Swift, and walk into that room as if that person was your first patient of the day. Remember how scared they must be to see a doctor in the hospital or clinic. And remember that there is something special and unique about them that could make your day special and unique as well. Take a breath and enjoy. Congratulations on starting the most gratifying career you can have. No matter what you do with your MD, it will serve you well. Thank you. Thank you. Now it is my great pleasure to introduce Dr. G. Richard Olds, President of St. George's University.
Well, good afternoon, and welcome to St. George's University's White Coat Ceremony. I'm a physician, so I'm quite used to white coat ceremonies, and I thought it might be appropriate to tell you a little bit about the history of uh, the event that you're about to pass through. Actually, we always have thought of white coats as being associated with physicians, but that practice is actually relatively new. It was actually not until the late 1800s when physicians first began to wear white coats, largely because of the discovery of the basis for infection and others and the move towards sterility. And then in the early 20th century, the white coat ceremony symbolized really the partnership between the scientific method and our understanding of the medical profession. And if you will, our white coats or laboratory coats is why both your faculty in the clinical sciences and basic sciences also wear white coats. But despite that association, actually the white coat ceremonies are relatively new. It wasn't until Columbia University started the white coat ceremony in the very early 1990s that we began to celebrate the first step in your medical profession. And now virtually all medical schools, for that matter, veterinary schools, many nursing schools, many health professional schools have white coat ceremonies. And interestingly, St. George's white coat ceremony is actually among the older ones because they started this actually very early in that practice and actually started a white coat ceremony before at least two of the med schools that I've been associated with in my career. So I think this is a wonderful occasion to begin your role as a physician. Now, on the other hand, I want to remind you a unique thing about those of us that are beginning careers in the healthcare professions. Society gives us a unique privilege as even students in the medical profession to basically interact with patients, to listen to their health problems, to have them confide in us in their health issues. And this is a rare privilege that society bestows on those of us in the health profession. And with that, we carry the responsibility to act in a very professional and helpful way, not only to our patients, but to humanity in general. And that is the theme of your donning the white coat. You accept both that rare privilege and that responsibility from the very first day that you're training in the medical profession. Now, I'm particularly pleased today, I guess Dr. Art Dorsey will get a formal introduction, but it turns out that the white coat speaker is an old friend of mine. I, for 11 years, was the chairman of the Department of Medicine at the Medical College of Wisconsin, our same institution. So I look forward with pleasure to an interesting talk from Dr. Dorsey, and let me welcome all of you to the medical profession.
Thank you, President Olds. The Arnold P. Gold Foundation created the white coat ceremony in 1993 to promote humanism in medicine. St. George's University School of Medicine initiated its own white coat ceremony in 1996, long before many other U.S. medical schools. My class in January of 1997 was the second white coat ceremony. In 2003, the Gold Foundation founded the Gold Humanism Honor Society, or GHHS, which is an international society dedicated to the promotion of humanism, professionalism, and ethics in medical practice and education. St. George's University annually inducts new members into its chapter of Gold Humanism Honor Society. SGU's chapter of GHHS envisioned and established the Humanitarian Student Organization in 2009, through which preclinical students can engage in service activities for their communities with support from the Gold Foundation. In 2014, member names are listed. The 2014 member names are listed on the back of your program. These inductees are presently doing fourth-year rotations and we honor their embodiment of Gold Humanism Honor Society ideals and their efforts to provide humane, caring, and professional patient care. Now, it is my extreme pleasure to introduce Dr. Art Dursey, our keynote speaker. Dr. Dursey is the director of the Center for Bioethics and Medical Humanities, and is Julia and David Uline's professor of medical humanities and professor of bioethics and emergency medicine at the Medical College of Wisconsin. He is the member of the board of the American Society of Law, Medicine, and Ethics, and member and past chair of the Ethics Committee for the American College of Emergency Physicians. He is a past president of the American Society for Bioethics and Humanities and former chair of the National Ethics Committee of the Veterans Health Administration. He served as senior consultant for academic affairs at the American Medical Association's Institute for Ethics and as the member of the American Bar Association's Commission on Law and Aging. His educational activities include direction of the medical school's medical ethics curriculum and graduate school courses encompassing law and bioethics and clinical ethics consultations. He also directs 2 of the medical school's medical humanities elective courses. Dr. Dursey is a graduate of the University of Wisconsin Medical School and the University of Wisconsin Law School cum laude, and he completed his emergency medicine residency and fellowship in medical education at the Medical College of Wisconsin. He is board certified in emergency medicine and licensed to practice law in Wisconsin.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Dr. Bengal, for your kind introduction. It is my great pleasure to join you in this special day with you, the students, the faculty and administration of St. George's University here in Grenada. And Dick, it's great to see you. Congratulations on having a great president of this university. And let me say that this white coat ceremony is really for you, the new class here in the medical school. You've chosen a great profession, a calling with many opportunities to use your particular interests and talents to help others. And the white coat ceremony is your official welcome. It's your first step in the journey in the profession of medicine. Also, today, you will receive a gift of a very practical article of clothing that you will wear when you meet, talk with, and examine your patients. But the white coat ceremony is not just a welcome in a white coat. The donning of your white coat, as we heard from Dr. Olds, is an important ritual imbued with significance. In this ceremony, you're going to be cloaked in your white coat in the presence of your family and friends. It is an induction, an entrance into the path that will lead you forward into the practice of medicine. Today's ceremony is one of 2 formal bookends of medical school. You'll be gathered again in front of family, friends, and faculty in 4 years to receive your degree of Doctor of Medicine. You will profess, and that is declared to the community, and that's where we get the word profession, your profession of undertaking of the duties of medicine as you take the modified oath of Hippocrates with a fuller knowledge than you have today of just what responsibilities you'll be assuming. Between today and that day lies your path. You're beginning your formal medical education, and you'll start with lots of science, the major foundation of our ability to cure and heal. But you'll need so much more than your knowledge of science. You'll need to learn skills with physical examination and with medical technology. You'll need to bring your own character and your willingness to study and work hard. Today, I'd like to talk to you a little bit about these white coats and their significance. I'm a U.S. emergency physician who also teaches bioethics and medical humanities, and you likely already know about bioethics, the study of the application of ethics to clinical dilemmas, and soon you'll learn more. But you may not have encountered the field of medical humanities, which is an academic field that uses literature, medical history, the visual and performing arts, and the social sciences to further professionalism, communication, empathy, and reflection in medicine. The field of medical humanities values narratives. It's an academic term for tales or stories, especially stories of doctors and patients that give unique insight into the moral relationship between doctor and patient. I'd like to tell you today about 5 kinds of narratives or tales of the white coat, stories that you'll encounter in medicine and stories that you will create, and how important those stories will be for you and your patients. So first, the tale of the white coat itself. The profession of medicine is millennia old, but the white coat, not so much. A relative newcomer to the professional scene, the white coat is a more recent development than the stethoscope. And yet it has become one of the most iconic symbols of the profession. Why white, a color that shows dirt and stains much better than other colors? Well, as you heard, until the beginning of the 20th century, doctors wore black formal coats. The white coat came from the science laboratory, and the doctors transitioned to wearing it as the scientific method became ascendant in medicine. Also symbolized the importance of cleanliness in an age where germs were newly recognized as a cause of disease. The fact that white signifies purity was a factor that did not hurt the physician's image. But the white coat is so much more than a symbol of scientific medicine. It's powerful in more than a metaphorical way. By its mere presence, the white coat can induce temporary high blood pressure in patients, so-called white coat syndrome, and it can be intimidating to patients, and because of that power at times, some practitioners, psychiatrists, and pediatricians may choose not to wear them. And we emergency physicians find scrubs a lot more comfortable and less confining. But patient surveys show that most patients want their doctors to wear white coats rather than scrubs or other more casual attire because they want their doctors to dress like they think doctors should look. So the white coat is also a symbol that signifies safety for patients, allowing them to tell the doctor the most intimate details of their story, knowing that the doctor has a professional obligation of confidentiality. While the story of the white coat may change a bit, some practitioners are shifting to short-sleeved white coats to reduce the possibility of transmission of bacteria. But it's a testament to the white coat itself that these practitioners will still be wearing short-sleeved white coats. The second type of tale of the white coat is the history of your new profession, the real stories of those who have worn the white coat. As I noted, the rise of the white coat accompanied the scientific revolution in medicine and the doctors who championed that scientific method. Thanks to scientists and physicians such as Louis Pasteur, Ignaz Semmelweis, Sir Joseph Lister, the understanding of the role of bacteria and the cause of disease, the use of antiseptic technique in surgery saved many lives. Polish-French scientist Marie Curie's discovery of X-rays would transform the diagnosis of treatment of disease and injury. And England physician John Snow, who was apprenticed to a surgeon in Newcastle upon Tyne, where you have a program, traced a cholera outbreak in London to an infected water pump and became a founder of the new field of epidemiology. We in North America learn the stories of new physician scientists cloaked in these white coats, such as Sir William Osler, a Canadian who became the first professor of medicine at Johns Hopkins University, who combined clinical training with classroom instruction and who began the first specialty training in medicine known as a residency because the trainees lived on the hospital grounds. Other white coat clad leaders include Elizabeth Blackwell, the first woman to graduate from a U.S. medical school and a pioneer in women's medical education, and Charles Drew, an African-American surgeon and medical researcher who developed blood banks during World War II. Each new generation of physicians should know the stories of those who've worn the white coats before them while they were blazing new paths in the profession. And these tales of physicians who wear the white coat include not only scientific trailblazers who make exciting discoveries, but also tales about modern medical leaders who are caring for patients by delivering needed healthcare around the world. The stories of medicine are not only being written in books, but also in essays written by physicians themselves about their work and their lives. Increasingly, these essays in medical humanities are published along with scientific articles in academic journals and in blogs and social media with due regard for patient confidentiality. These ongoing stories of medicine have been and will continue to be written in these tales, and you'll have the opportunity to read these stories and learn from your colleagues who have worn these white coats. The third kind of white coat tale is the kind you're probably most familiar with, the fictional stories of medicine. One group consists of the tales of doctors and patients by great writers. For instance, the experience of a dying patient described by Leo Tolstoy and the death of Ivan Ilyich, and the story of Dr. Ryu in Albert Camus' The Plague, who makes the choice during an epidemic to stay and care for patients, especially relevant in light of the recent Ebola outbreak. Another group consists of the fictional stories of doctors in popular media, including television and movies. These fictional stories are important in that they shape the societal image of the physician and influence patient expectations. For better or for worse, the public is more familiar with Dr. Martin Ellingham in the BBC television series Doc Martin than Dr. Ryu. But these popular portrayals do have inaccuracies, and you'll learn them as you go through medicine. The American TV show ER about an emergency department ran for 15 seasons, and it had more than a few inaccuracies. When a doctor would shout commands for something to be done, it happened a lot faster on TV than in a real emergency department. And then whenever a patient had a cardiopulmonary arrest or coded, the success rate for resuscitation was so much better than in real life, in part because otherwise, most of the storylines would have to end there, since most patients for whom we attempt resuscitation die. And finally, the doctors' social lives are so much more interesting than in the emergency departments in which I've worked. But popular stories can hold very important truths about the profession. A British medical student, while doing a clerkship in Edinburgh, was indelibly impressed by his professor, Dr. Joseph Bell, whose careful history and observations often resulted in a brilliant diagnosis that had eluded other physicians. Later, that medical student would craft tales of a detective whose powers of observation and listening, combined with his scientific knowledge, always solved the case. That physician turned writer, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, named his detective Sherlock Holmes, and in fact, another more recent TV show featured a fictional rogue physician, Dr. Gregory House, played by British actor Hugh Laurie, whose specialty was diagnostic medicine. His fictional last name, House, is an intentional pun on the last name of his detective predecessor, Holmes. Your professors will spend much time teaching you the keen diagnostic and observational skills of Dr. Holmes' predecessor, Dr. Bell, as well as Dr. Bell's technique of carefully listening to the patient's story. And of course, your teachers will exemplify the professionalism of medicine that Dr. House so sorely lacks. The fourth and most important kind of white tale is the one told to you by each of your patients. You'll have the privilege of hearing tens of thousands of patient stories over your career. You may not think of yourself as a writer, but you will learn to write these stories in the form known as the patient history. And you'll be writing these stories about your patients pretty much every workday and sometimes on your days off. Even with modern technology, listening carefully to these stories will be important in order for you to be a good diagnostician and physician. Dr. Rachel Remen, a U.S. pediatric hematologist who became a therapist and has written about the doctor-patient relationship, led a small group at a seminar that I attended. She asked us, why is it important to listen to patient stories with empathy? And you know that empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. I answered, in order for the patient to be comforted, to help the patient feel better. And she said, yes, but not only to feel better, It's needed for the patient to become better. Now, the scientist in me had been skeptical of whether listening empathetically can actually make patients better. But there are studies showing that it can improve patient outcomes, and whether listening empathetically to the patient's story comforts or can help cure, the act of listening is important for you to be a good healer. There's another reason you'll need to listen to the patient's story carefully, and that is to coax out the rest of the story. Patients won't always tell you the first time the full story because they may ignore important parts, forget them, or we may cut off their story. Your questions, based on your careful listening, may help them to reveal a more complete medical history so that you can help them better. You'll need to listen to their values that are embedded in their story, so when they do have a choice among options, as the professional, you'll be able to guide them in choosing wisely and well. Inevitably, you'll hear stories of patients whose cultural background or whose history are radically different from your own. There will be patients whose story will need to be told by others or pieced together by you with the help of family and friends because the patient cannot tell you their story, either because the patient is a child or the patient has advanced dementia or because the patient has entered a very now common phase at the end of life where the patient can no longer communicate. Patients will also look to you to tell them stories about themselves, stories of their future. This is one of the three central medical arts you will learn besides diagnosis and treatment, and that is prognosis. The story of the future that you'll be able to tell your patients about the likely course of their diseases and how their maladies will affect their lives. There are times you will need to tell your patient and the family about the final chapter of life, how he or she may face the dying process. And you will sometimes tell families who are not present how their loved one died. Families will remember forever how compassionately you tell them that story. So the fifth kind of white coat tale is yours. Today begins the very first chapter of your story in medicine. You'll invest greatly in your medical education with intellectual and physical effort and financial resources. I can tell you that your investment will be well worth it, both because the profession of medicine is a worthy calling and because physicians will be needed in this world very far into the foreseeable future. You won't need to worry about looking for work in medicine. The work needed to be done will be looking for you. Because patients will entrust you with their health and their lives, the process you are beginning will be one of lifelong learning in order to improve your knowledge and skill as medicine evolves. You'll make mistakes as you learn. Everyone does. Errors are much more common in medicine than even experts had realized. In part because the field of medicine has become much more complex, and in part because we've become better at identifying errors in order to put systems in place to prevent them. Patients and families will, more often than not, forgive you for not being perfect. They'll also want you to learn from your errors. So the new white coat you'll receive today will have many successors. You'll wear them out. Sleeves and pockets will go long before the seat of the coat because in taking care of patients, you'll find you won't be sitting around much. A succession of these white coats will accompany you as you grow as a physician, and the white coats at times will absorb the blood and tears of your patients. One of the biggest challenges posed by the rigors of your medical training will be the danger of losing the natural empathy that you bring to medical school. You'll need to work hard to keep that empathy, your balance, and your humanity, and to continue to nurture your relationships with family and friends. You won't face the challenges ahead alone. Along the way, you'll have mentors, professors, and clinical teachers who will help you face the challenges, and you'll share the responsibility of caring for your patients with colleagues in the profession of medicine and in the allied healthcare professions, including psychology, nursing, and social work, as we increasingly practice medicine as part of a team of professionals. Today, we also recognize those who have been part of your stories, your families and friends who have supported you in reaching this day. We thank them and ask them to continue to support you as you begin this new chapter of your story as a medical student at St. George's University. Many medical schools have yearbooks with graduation photographs, and some hallways are lined with photographs of years graduating classes that preceded you. Whenever you come across these photos, take a moment to look at them, because each one of these graduates has a story in medicine, as you also will have. Your story doesn't need to be among the great stories in medicine, but you will want it to be among the good ones. Work that benefits your community and that you enjoy, a career of which your patients, your family, and you can be proud. So I've told you about 5 kinds of white coat tales or stories in medicine, and now I'd like to give you just one piece of advice for your journey in medicine. To be a good doctor, to write your story well in medicine so you can better help to diagnose, to heal, and to comfort your patients, you'll need to listen carefully to these, the tales of your patients, your colleagues, and the history of medicine. And as you take your first steps today as a student of the profession of medicine, I wish you the best, and today and always, for a successful and enjoyable career as a doctor of medicine. Thank you and congratulations.
Thank you, Dr. Dursey, for those very inspiring words. To welcome each of you to the medical profession, St. George's University School of Medicine will now present you with a white coat symbolizing your entry to the profession and your commitment to uphold the duties and trust associated with medicine and medical training. To assist our keynote speaker and myself with robing, I now invite several faculty to the stage. Dr. Dolan Noel, Clinical Teaching Unit. Dr. Vijaya Chalapella, Physiology and Neurosciences. Dr. Ewald Marshall, Anatomical Sciences. Dr. Kazera Rayburn, Anatomical Sciences. Dr. Helena Ivashuk, Anatomical Sciences. Dr. Islam Ali, Anatomical Sciences. Dr. Dominic Greco, St. George's graduating class of 1985. Dr. Shika Agu, St. George's University graduating class of 1982. And Dr. David Hansen, St. George's graduating class of 2000. In recognition of our international enrollment, the Grand Marshal, Dr. Barbara Landon, will call each student by name and state their country of birth. Please hold your applause until all students have been robed. For safety, we ask the audience to kindly remain seated and not to interrupt the ceremony by taking pictures in the forward section of the hall. Thank you for your cooperation.
Ganwal Ashraf, Toronto, Canada. Mariam Ibrahim, California and Afghanistan. David Guy Anderson, Washington, USA. Jose Canabal, San Juan, Puerto Rico. Erilyn Garcia Roldan, Las Vegas, Nevada and Puerto Rico. Floyd Terrence, South Carolina. Eni Haji Datu, California. Hunter Jake, New York. Joseph Keller, Missouri. Wisconsin?
Yeah, thanks.
Stephen Michael Karakis, Wisconsin. Sujith Idakula, Texas. Razi Syed Haq, Los Angeles, California. Sarah Johnson, New Jersey. Geet Amin, New Jersey. Addison Chavoya, Texas. Sanjna Barwani, New Jersey. Lacey Balsman, Missouri. Aaron Dedman, High Point, North Carolina. Yeli Hernandez Mato, Cuba and Miami. And Korea. Albert Lee, South Korea and California. Sukhjinder Kohan, Sacramento, California. Catherine Goff, California. Adeniyi Adedotan, Nigeria. Christy Lee, New Jersey. Gerber De Leon, Westchester, New York. Andrea Fisher, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Nushan Aflakian, Iran and California. Lubna Atal, New York. Marina Maula, New York. Naima Kennedy, Pennsylvania. Ridi Amin, New Jersey. Jenny Kutwine, Indiana. Christine Gerber, New Jersey. Nate Lerner, Detroit, Michigan. Dulce Griego, Texas. Gita Bozarif, California. Austin Cordy, California. Byron Kennedy IV, Florida. And Karen Law, New York. Grace Karim, New Jersey. Linda Laham, New Jersey. Janet Lee, New York. Kaylee Larson, Washington, United States. Andrea Amoni, Ghana. Stephen Cooper, California. Jean Jaworski, Florida and Ireland. Hernandez Brady, Louisiana. Emmanuel Lopez Perez, California and Mexico. Albert Weichin, Taiwan. Mohammed God, Minneapolis, birthplace Cairo, Egypt. Cecile Getfield, Jamaica. Tashina Andrade, New York. Cheryl Ann Gomez, Trinidad and Tobago. Madia Ahat, New York. Sarah Hockney, New York. James Hansen, New York. Shanice Chandler, Trinidad and Tobago. Amanda Gordon, Grenada. Francesca Belancourt, Haiti and Florida. Karina Cardenas, Miami. Devi Hari, Texas. Shelley Hollinger, Saskatchewan, Canada. Delaney Bandaraj, Massachusetts and New Zealand. Anita Chaudhry, Illinois. Justine Betsu, New York. An Bui, California. Seamus Hennessy, Cleveland, Ohio. And Catherine Keebler, Colorado. Aaron Baumler, Washington, USA. Jofer Bernal, Columbia and Florida. Nisha Bengali, Nebraska. Jenna Clementi, Ontario, Canada. Josh Cotting, California. Christopher Keller, New York. Forrest Bodily, Paradise, Utah. Kendrina Lewis, Grenada. Hannah Antoine, Grenada. Rachel Boudram, Tobago and Trinidad. Alexis Hedgewald, Georgia and Turks and Caicos. Alexandria Anderson, Jamaica. Ikra Kumal, Florida. Susanna Collins, Florida. Hira Hussein, Florida. Hiba Kansara, New York. Vincent Hudson, Pennsylvania. Ryan Thomas Burke, Arizona. Christopher Craig Carson, Oklahoma. Christopher Curtis, Utah. Anthony Hernandez, California. Harmony Dixon, California. Armand Halan, Brampton, Ontario. Della John, Grenada. Cameron Buddy, Florida. Boris Onyama, Houston, Texas. Charles Hunter Prejean, Louisiana. William Moses Bias, California. Jessica Love Bias, California. And Daniel Atala, Ontario, Canada, and Egypt. Anthony Assad, Minnesota. Ali I, New York. Saida Aline, Grenada. Tahsin Khalil, Chicago. Parampreet Kaur, California. Carla Avila, Havana, Cuba. Allison Brooks, Texas. Ryan Brown, New York. Penelope Cote, Montreal, Quebec. And Cheryl Tu, Vancouver, British Columbia. Krishna Kalakuri, Illinois. Usman Khan, Georgia and Pakistan. Stephen Frank, New York. Sumaya Haq, New York. Bonnie Badwal, New York. Andrew Barbosa, Oklahoma. Philip Glass, Los Angeles, California. Nicole Lewandowski, Massachusetts. Sharon Bakshi, California. Alicia Bird, Canada. Akash Chada, Maryland. Evelyn Kasimu, Kenya. Alyssa Cheeseman, Trinidad and Tobago. Tanya Cabrito, California. Kiara Lockstead, Charlotte, North Carolina. Namika Elijaya Eliadgar, California. Nikki Cheng, Michigan. Amanda Edgar, Grenada. Safet Guiers, Chicago, Illinois, and Turkey. And Farhan Ahmed, Chicago. Bobby Goyal, New Jersey. Amandeep Garsha, Ontario. Sean Gear, California. Michelle Garcia, Texas. Melissa Cruces Andrade, El Paso, Texas. Nam Lai, Texas. Brittany Johnson, Pennsylvania. Woodski Charles, Haiti. Rufaro Asifa, Canada and South Africa. Merlan Douglas Castara, Tobago. Mami Hefron, New York and Ghana. Danaye Briere, Florida and Haiti. Ian Landry, New Orleans, Louisiana. Joshua Hamey, New York. Matthew Davids, New York. Sarah Johnson, Colorado and Sweden. Aliyah Casanova, New York and Russia. Brittany Agu, New Jersey. Devin Im, Korea. And Connor Erickson, Washington State. Jared Berggren, Colorado. Terrence Joa, New Jersey. Kyle Latouf, Michigan and Canada. Timothy Abels, Arizona. Zachary Ibar, Texas. Tycee Linneman, Missouri. Jessica Harris, Florida. Catherine Cuervo, New York. Hussein Khalil Garib, Lebanon. Samir Elias, Syria. Louis Jamal Cruz, Texas. Molly McNumee, Michigan. Utku Ikin, New Jersey and Turkey. Raven Krusko, New York. Bezad Bezael, Shojal, New York. Tori Kanji, New York. Hamza Kariz, Missouri. Anna Horman, Kentucky. Ben Garner, New York. And Gil Ben Sasson, Iowa. Zachary Bakun, New Jersey. Joseph Stacy, California. Brian Betancourt, California. Elliot Asher, California. Ryan Harold, Minnesota. Christopher Kelly, Pennsylvania. Geminique Bowen, New York and Grenada. Abraham Atta, Nigeria. Faith Chuki, Nigeria. Emmanuel Olutosin Fajanyomi, Nigeria. Sakar Fandej, Arizona and Iran. Ikra Ahmad, Tennessee. Robert Bodrogi, Maryland. Carl Claver Obina, Connecticut, Obina. Syed Farhan Hussein, New York. Ruby Chen, Washington and Taiwan. Chepin Cheng, Taipei, Taiwan. Tala Abu Fakr, Detroit, Michigan. Umar Hadiz, Louisiana, USA. And Majed Hamdullah, Afghanistan and California. Mustafa Khalifa, Pennsylvania and Syria. Vivi Bergson, Los Angeles. Paul Chung, California and South Korea. Samuel Brejon, New York. Quang Di Long, Vietnam. Deborah Lee, California. Marion Lee, California. Kerlinda Dragon, Grenada. Sparkle Curtin, Trinidad and Tobago. Samuel Jones, Grenada. Angelo Abelli, Florida and Venezuela. Jamila Holloway, Florida. Huma Haq, Massachusetts. Paige Franklin, New Jersey. Rumnik Gill, California and India. Rutendo Jokoma, Zimbabwe. Jessica Beata Made, California and Poland. Melissa Lubers, Illinois. Danielle Giedeben, California. Christopher Ebner, Alaska. Ali Al-Jidi, California and Iraq. Matthew Cow, California. Natasha Charles, Grenada. Paul Kipion, New Jersey. Natasha Fable, New York. Zelda Ishkin, New York. Amy De Silva, New Jersey. Amber Holbein, Oklahoma. Erica Brown, Florida. Aisha Bowen, New York and Jamaica. Evelyn Chicas, Texas. Tri Hong, Vietnam. Mohammed Ulobi, New Jersey. Olashobomi Dino, London. Miguel Amascua, Texas. Micaeus Gomez, Texas. Giorgi Cardziani, Georgia, Republic of Georgia and New Jersey. Jordan Hoke, Florida. Huda Fakhri, Florida. Andre Fiallo, New York and Brazil. Andrei Bilki, Russia and California. Olivia Baranski, Chicago, Illinois. Nadim Habab, Arizona and Lebanon. Kamsi Paul Young, Idamobi, Nigeria. Patrick Carey, Salt Lake City, Utah. Minel Adel Ayad, Egypt. Christian DeNagel, Florida. Benjamin George, Texas. Jonathan Greco, New York. Blake Bauer, Florida. Helena Economikos, New York. Congratulations to all.
Don't worry, the gross anatomy lab will get those wrinkles right out of those coats. Huh? At this time, I invite the students and all doctors present to stand and recite aloud with me the professional commitment listed near the back of your program. Right. Today is the beginning of my medical education and training as a physician. I acknowledge my responsibility to continue the pursuit of knowledge and understanding until that day when I will cease to be a practicing physician. I am entering training for a noble profession in which my interests must always be subservient to those who may seek my assistance. I must be ever conscious of the value of my fellow health professionals and treat them with respect at all times. St. George's University are now my colleagues, and I owe to them the same support and encouragement to achieve their goals as I hope to receive from them. I will work alongside my colleagues and professors with tolerance, compassion, and honesty. I acknowledge my obligation to adhere to the University Honor Code and to conduct myself with integrity in an ethical manner all henceforth. I shall do all within my power to show in myself an example of all that is honorable and good throughout my medical career. It is a privilege to have been given the opportunity to become a physician. May I be ever conscious of that privilege and never abuse it. Please be seated. On behalf of St. George's University, I would like to thank the Arnold Gold Foundation for the Humanism in Medicine pins placed on each student's white coat. Thank you, students, families, faculty, staff, and administrators for your support and presence at this ceremony. I ask that you please remain seated and keep the aisles clear until directed by the ushers. You are all invited to a reception at the Lewis and Marion Modica Hall. Thank you again for coming.